Nathan was a 52-year-old man married to his wife, Ruth, for 24 years. They had built a life together with 3 children, Rita, 22, John, 19, and Naomi, who was 17. He had always thought they were on the brink of a new phase in their lives with the kids nearing adulthood. 1 week ago, however, everything changed. Ruth had been acting strange for days, distant and cold. At first, Nathan brushed it off as fatigue or stress, but he soon felt a looming unease settling in his gut. Finally, Ruth walked into the living room, her posture deliberate and her voice steady. "Can we talk?" she asked. Something in her tone sent a chill down Nathan's spine, making him uneasy. The knot in his stomach tightened. "Not here," she murmured, glancing toward the hallway as if to ensure the kids weren't home. They moved to the kitchen. Nathan's heart raced, wondering what could be so urgent, so dangerous, to pull her away from their usual comfort. As they took their seats at the kitchen table, Nathan studied Ruth's face. She seemed both composed and terrified, her hands folded tightly. He tried to ignore the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Ruth took a deep breath, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resolve. "I need to tell you something." Nathan's heart sank, sensing the weight of the moment. He nodded, urging her silently to continue. "I've been having an affair," she said, the words crashing down like a tidal wave. It hit Nathan with brutal force, his breath catching in his throat. Everything he thought he knew about their life together was suddenly gone. "What?" Nathan managed to whisper, his chest tightening. "For 2 years now," she continued, her voice steady. The silence that followed felt suffocating. Nathan gripped the edge of the table, fighting to remain upright. "With Pete," she added. Nathan felt a rush of anger and confusion. He had no idea who Pete was, but at this moment, he didn't care. He was drowning in waves of betrayal. "Why now?" he asked, desperation creeping into his voice. "Because I'm ready to move forward with him," Ruth said softly, as if this would somehow lessen the blow. Nathan felt a hollow ache in his chest. "I can't keep living a lie," she said, staring into his eyes for the first time. "A lie?" Nathan repeated, the word tasting bitter on his tongue. "We've been married for 23 years, Ruth. We built a life." Anger began to boil inside him, but Ruth's calm demeanor cut through it like a knife. "I know," she replied, her eyes glistening with unspoken emotions. "But I haven't been happy for a long time." Those words struck him deeper than any of her earlier admissions. It felt like his heart was being squeezed tighter. "You've been unhappy?" Nathan echoed, disbelief spilling over. "And you thought finding another man was the answer?" Tears filled his eyes, a mix of anger and heartbreak. "I never saw this coming," he whispered, his voice trembling. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said, her voice soft, almost patronizing. "You'll find someone else." Those words shattered his remaining hope. He felt like he was standing on a cliff, the ground crumbling beneath him. "You don't just throw away 23 years for a fling," he shouted, unable to contain the fury. "This isn't just some casual encounter. It's our life." Ruth's calm resolve remained, and it made Nathan want to scream. "It's not a fling, it's real," she asserted, tears now rolling down her cheeks. Seeing her cry only fueled his anger. "How could you do this to us?" he questioned, trying to make sense of the madness. "This marriage hasn't worked for years," Ruth replied, her voice steady. He felt as if the ground had been pulled out from under him again. All the years of shared laughter and love felt like they were slipping away. Unable to take any more, Nathan stood up, feeling shaky but resolute. "I want you to leave," he said, the weight of finality heavy in his voice. Ruth blinked, clearly taken aback. It felt shocking even to him. For a moment, he saw a flicker of regret in her eyes, but it vanished quickly. She turned and walked to the bedroom, picking up a duffel bag he hadn't noticed before. His stomach twisted at this realization. Nathan stood frozen as she zipped up the bag, a stark reminder that she had planned this. She turned back to him, her expression unreadable. Then she stepped forward and awkwardly hugged him goodbye. He didn't move. As the front door clicked shut, the silence enveloped Nathan. He sank onto the couch, emotions crashing into him like waves. The house felt too quiet, suffocating without her presence. The reality of his life crumbled around him. Nathan sobbed uncontrollably, feeling betrayed by the very person he loved most. Ruth's absence loomed large, echoing in the endless silence. It wasn't just betrayal. It was the complete destruction of the life he had known. Hours passed, and Nathan eventually fell asleep on the couch, his mind racing with a mix of disbelief and despair. He didn't know how he'd face the rest of his life, let alone co-parenting the kids without Ruth. He woke up suddenly to the sound of the front door opening. It was Naomi, home from school. "Dad," she called out, her light voice fading as she entered the living room. When she saw him, concern washed over her face. "Where's Mom?" she asked, frowning. Nathan swallowed, trying to gather his thoughts. "She's gone," he murmured, his throat tight. It felt wrong to say, but it was the truth. "She left, sweetheart." Naomi stared at him, disbelief etched on her face. "Gone," she echoed. Nathan nodded, tears pooling in his eyes. "She's been seeing someone else for 2 years." The reality felt heavy, weighing down both of them. As the realization settled on Naomi, her expression shifted to one of shock. "What?" she whispered, her world trembling. Nathan nodded slowly, tears spilling over. He hated sharing this burden with his daughter. Naomi's eyes softened as she sat next to him, wrapping her arms around him. Her hug felt genuine, a small comfort in a time filled with darkness. "It's okay, Dad," she whispered, but it didn't feel okay at all. "I can't believe she did this," Nathan said, the weight of shame and hurt crashing over him. Just then, Naomi took charge. She called Rita and John, asking them to come home. She reached out to their Uncle Eric, too. Eric had always been dependable. Within hours, he showed up to Nathan's house, taking one look and knowing his brother was in no state to handle everything alone. He moved in, stepping into the role of caretaker. The next week was a blur. Nathan felt lost in the aftermath of his marriage's end. Every day felt like a battle, but the support from Naomi and Eric provided a lifeline. They kept him grounded during the storm. Anger bubbled beneath the surface, but it was overshadowed by a deep sense of loss. He never thought Ruth's leaving would hit him this hard. After all, she was the one who had chosen another man over him. Nathan struggled each morning just to get out of bed. The kids were patient with him, guided by their love and commitment to seeing their dad through this turbulent time. He felt grateful for their presence. In that time, he spoke to a lawyer, preparing for an inevitable divorce. Yet, he hadn't filed just yet. He felt oddly compelled to wait for Ruth to serve him first, a strange way of upholding some sense of dignity. But a week passed, and no papers arrived. The indifference left him unsettled until he received a phone call late one night. The name on the screen caused his heart to jump. It was Ruth. "Nathan," she said, her voice shaky. Instantly, he sensed the emotion in her words, the cracks of her earlier detachment. "How are the kids?" she asked, sniffling. Nathan kept his tone neutral. This was no time for compassion. "They are fine," he replied shortly, trying to keep his cool. "Eric's here too." He heard silence on the other end. Then Ruth broke down sobbing. "I don't know what to do," she cried. And for a moment, Nathan felt something stir inside him. "What happened with Pete?" Nathan asked quietly, unable to help himself. "He turned me away," she sobbed. "He said he wasn't ready for a real relationship." With that, a bitter chuckle escaped Nathan's lips before he could stop it. "So, that's what you left for? A guy who was just having fun?" he asked, unable to hide a sense of satisfaction. To think that Ruth had risked everything for someone who didn't even want her. "He told me I'm older," she continued, her voice trembling, "and that I can't give him what he wants." The sheer devastation in her words was like music to Nathan's ears, and he felt a strange thrill of satisfaction rise within him. For 15 painful minutes, Ruth unraveled on the phone, crying about how she had ruined her life. But Nathan remained silent, feeling nothing but relief. He knew better than to let sympathy slip through his heart. Finally, Ruth's desperation surfaced. "Can I come back home? Just one more chance." Nathan felt his blood boil at the audacity of her request. "Absolutely not," he said firmly, cutting her off before she finished. You made your choice, Ruth. You walked away. You can deal with the consequences. He hung up the phone, feeling liberated, though the anger still simmered beneath him. How dare she think he would take her back? The very idea stung, and he refused to let her manipulate him anymore. The silence after the call was deafening. Nathan stared at the ceiling, finding strength in the reality he was building for himself and his children. In the morning, he turned on his phone to find a flood of messages from Ruth, furious and accusing him of being selfish and cold. He scoffed at her comments. She had left him. She had chosen someone else. It's pathetic, Nathan muttered, shaking his head. She's playing the victim. He was done allowing her voice to cloud his thoughts. He hadn't caused this mess. She had. The realization only fueled his resolve. Naomi stayed close, checking in on him. She wrapped her arms around him, offering comfort amid the chaos. "You're not alone, Dad," she said softly. She didn't want him to feel abandoned, even as they all processed the loss. Meanwhile, Nathan navigated the practicalities of being a single dad. He missed the rhythm of their lives together. Ruth had always handled certain responsibilities, like cooking and laundry, and now it was up to him and Eric. "This sucks," Eric muttered one evening as they sorted through a mountain of clothes in the kitchen. They shared laughs about the ups and downs of day-to-day life. Just being together made the burdens feel lighter. With time, Nathan learned to manage on his own, drawing strength from his kids and brother. His old life felt like a distant memory, and though he still experienced waves of hurt from Ruth's betrayal, he began to see new possibilities unfolding before him.